Hey guys, how you doing? We're back. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see if I play rook e5, rotate c5, king takes c5. Gotta be careful on this calculation here. If we play rook e5, rook takes e5, king takes e5, king f. King f3 there, king f3. Yeah, I think we should be winning in this line. Let's see if we check here. He has to move, then he has to move after that. Then he gives way. I'll show you the line I was talking about, and it wins as well. Okay, here. First of all, you have to play here. Then if he plays there, oops. King f5. Okay. And king g3. Okay, now. Okay, gotcha. And then if he comes up here, we come over, becomes there, up, and then in comes takes the pawn. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, king f6. So if we play knight takes h, knight takes h5, check. King go f pawn, and f2 takes f5, then we go queen g6 check, king f, queen takes the pawn check, he goes back. Let's see if rook takes, rotates knight, king takes knight. say queen G, queen G4. Knight takes G4, bishop takes G4. My pawn takes G4. We're threatening mate, so she have to push. Say queen check if I believe this is the only check that actually, and then now we have to figure out, is there any checks that we could do with the knight? Nope, nope, nope. So the only check that doesn't lose a piece is queen here. And then now we have to decide where to check, where to check. So if we check here, it'll come up. Then we can check there. Trying to see if is there any way to, I'm trying to see if I can play bishop f6, g takes f6, pawn push, but the rook slides over and we don't really have anything at that point. distract it. There we go. The pin that wins. Trying to figure out how do we do this. Boy. I think it has something to do with that, but I'm not sure about that. Oh, drat. It's that. Oh, how did I miss that? I didn't see the geometry in it. Drat. But I saw it. I see it now. So now I know how to handle it. There's geometric stuff in it. It's mathematical. let's see, I'm trying to see, is a great gift possible? Let's see, if we play here, he's going to push there. Ooh, we can infiltrate that way and then we win. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? trying to see. Oh, great. Having a fun chess day. Okay, knight takes d6. That's kind of an idea. And then if rook b4, I think we have, if I'm not mistaken, we got b7. Or I could just push right now. That, and then I can always take the pawn at that point. Maybe b7 first. Rook b4, and then knight takes d6. The other takes and both takes, one takes attacks the rook, but the other take threat. If we push, he has to come over and guard. But then after that, he could go after our G pawn, but he's actually locked down to that. Pros and cons. Just gonna go with beef. Yeah, okay. No? Oh. Wowzers. That was hard to see there. So if we take, pawn takes the knight, pawn takes, then we have knight takes, and we're threatening mate. just gonna go queen right here. So how did you like the Magnus Favi game? It was. It was a nice end game. I gotta say, it was like really, really good. There's a couple areas, because we're gonna go over it after we finish this. We'll go over the Magnus Favi game. We're gonna do this one here, and then we'll go over it. There's a point at which Yasser talked about this one move sequence, and I'm gonna do my best to remember what he said. So. Trying to see if bishop h3, sorry, check isn't this. I should say that. Trying to see if bishop h3 is not the check that would start the process of like rook takes, like a bishop h3 check, rook takes h3, and then queen takes h3. That'd be check, by the way, so I have to remember to do that. And then queen g2, and I don't know where to actually go from there. Well, maybe we can just take the pawn after all that. He's got a pin. He could actually just move his king too. But if he did that, we could check and bring our knight in. And in theory, we would actually win the queen. Check? No. It comes up. Maybe it's a plain old knight takes c2. If we play knight takes c2, we pick up a rook. Knight takes c2 also picks up a piece. But are we down too much material on that line? We have sacrificed. Why would we want to get a rook back? Oh. Silly me. some reason, just I didn't even see that. That's weird. Okay. Nice find there. For some reason I missed that the queen could take there. Yikes. Okay, this is madness. We'll look at it from Fabi's side, because Fabi was the one that was attacking here, and we're gonna take a look at potentially could he have won the game in the end game. So it's pretty much a. I gotta say, I like this opening here. Was kind of cute. Usually it doesn't work. What Yazzer and Jennifer were talking about is potentially knight c3 was an idea, and then with takes, queen takes, bishop takes, and then pawn takes to let the bishop out might be an idea. Or it might have been this way, sorry. Not that way. And he would castle, and about equal, so. And here you would think that just to, excuse me, retreat the knight to f6, right? No, no, no. They were talking that this is like such a main line, such a side line. There, the move right here, back here, has been played like, I think they said like 51,000 times, if I'm not mistaken. 50,000, I'll say plus, because I know it's been over 50,000. And then they talked about, I believe, I don't know if it was f5 that was played like 200 times or something like that, or was it bishop f5 was played, something like that. It was like one of these. It was these. It was not this one. Sorry, it's this here, this, and I'm thinking something to do with f5. If I could remember, it's like these three moves. But this move here was like, does it actually work? They actually thought it was basically a trash move, which was a move that was nothing. At this point, they're like, does this actually work? They were looking at this line here. And Jennifer and Yaz were talking about it. And Yaz said that this was kind of like a trash line. And then it's funny, Maurice says, but it actually works. And I was like, yeah, it does, because you can actually trade, and at the very end, even though it looks like you're going to win a pawn, here, actually you can't win a pawn, but it kind of looks somewhat like that. This move here like shuts it all down. You're thinking, what about d3, right? Potentially takes, knight takes, bishop takes, and then knight f6, and castles. Surprisingly, black and white are okay here. It's 0. There's no advantage for either side. And if we just straightway take, knight takes, bishop takes, castles, rook e1. You can actually play rook e, bishop attacks, and then just drop your knight back, guarding the pawn. But then you have to watch, they set out for d4. So you don't want to play that. You want to just retreat back at this point. And if he attacks there, you're fine, because you just bring your rook over, and there's nothing that could cause a sitch with that. So d5, and they both just retreated back. I gotta say, Fabi's been playing some pretty outstanding openings. it's a rest day tomorrow, so I can't wait to see what they play the next day after the rest day. It should be like what we were talking about. This should be sparkles and firework time for two swords clashing. A spark happens. This is a lot of swords clashing right now. Kind of reminds me of the Jedi thing when their sabers meet and sparks happen like that. That's kind of these type of openings and this type of intensity of play is like that. It's like a Luke Darth Vader thing, right? Or would it be an Obi-Wan and Luke? I don't know, something like that. For some reason I had Star Wars on the brain. C6. Now to kick the knight out. Knight B6. Okay, D3, bishop D3, and now Fabi has to kind of worry slightly about taking, but they said that if Magnus did, it would actually be kind of like a waste because of how many knight moves this one knight has journeyed. This guy, this hero of the realm has jumped all over the board. And so Magnus would lose a tempo if he took here instead of going there. If he took here and like bishop takes and bishop comes out, one tempo and bishop was in play. And I forgot how many moves did that knight move. Let me see. See one. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, move there. So that'd be 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow. 8. This knight has danced around the dance floor of the chessboard for 8 moves. So if Magnus took, he would be losing in theory 7 tempos for trading off that knight, and he would be helping Fabi develop a bishop, which I doubt Magnus Carlsen would actually do that. But sometimes you just have to ask yourself, do I want to trade off this knight, even though it potentially, like, even if a bishop wasn't here, if this bishop was off the board, and let's say he took here, and let's just say this bishop wasn't here, so I'll just put a mark there. Even taking like this is okay, because now you have a firm center, and at the right moment you can branch out with an attack. So even if this bishop wasn't here, it still would be a waste to trade off, because I believe that knight only moved like 3 or 4 times, so it would still be down 4 tempos, which is a pretty big thing, because especially when there's only 2 defenders. So I wouldn't trade. Too risky. D3, bishop D3. Okay, dokie. Let's see here, and then D5. Nice. I really like this move. This actually solidifies Black's position, and in theory should go to a draw because of how symmetrical it is in the setup, almost set for this knight, and this knight right over here is kind of not so good. So D5 actually shuts out this knight from coming in. to play. So now this knight has to dance all the way around the board just to get here. That's kind of why. That's why, if you're wondering why the engine only gave it a plus 0.2, is because of how awkward White's pieces are positioned at this moment. Yes, White could castle, but you always have to be a little fearful of this diagonal here being opened. And Fabi's two bishops are actually outstandingly placed. So are these bishops here. So and this knight has a lot more potential than this knight. So knight c2, it has to dance again on the dance floor all the way over to g4. Oh, okay. Wow, that is very interesting to have taken there. Wow, you gave up a lot of tempo, but I understand. I see what he's doing. He wants to liberate his dark square bishop. Potentially, Magnus could actually castle queenside too. If Fabi castles kingside, then we would have a sparking of the lightsabers. King f2. Well, see, my teacher told me when you look at pieces that have moved like a large amount of the time, like that one knight that traded off for the knight on d6, this one knight that was here had moved like 8 times. So it took 8 moves for the knight to get here. And I believe this knight, I'm not exactly sure how many moves this knight moved. Let's just say 5, okay? 5 moves to get, the knight took, let's go back, right here. This knight, we'll just say, took 8 moves to get here. This took 5 moves to get here. This one took 5. This one took 8. So if this traded off for that knight, in theory, because of how many times this knight has traveled around the board, White has given up 3 moves because he got this knight to f4. Why did you get it to f4 if you're just going to trade it off for a knight that's only moved 5 times? You actually lose 3 moves. And he told me that when you start looking at pieces like that is when you start going from expert to master, because you have to weigh trades. Trades are huge when you get to the level that Fabi and Magnus are at, especially in certain openings. The openings are really, really big. If you mistrade one opening wrongly, you can actually be behind in development. Even though it looks like you have more pieces developed, you can be behind because of how long it took you to get this piece here. It's a bigger concept that my teacher taught me. And I wondered the same thing, and he just said that, trust me, once you're able to put that into your play, you'll be unbeatable, because then you'll know if it's a good idea to trade this knight for this knight. And at this moment, it is a good idea, because Magnus wants to not have to worry about a trade here. He wants to liberate his bishop and, in theory, castle and play maybe bishop and reroute in there, something, maybe a trade like that. So these super grandmasters have calculated is the loss of like 3 tempos worth the exchange of giving up something that's more active? Like Black's most active piece is the knight. That's why, and so 2 knights that were active were traded off. So the 3 tempos that Magnus would have lost, like my teacher would have told me, was okay because of he traded off an active piece, which then would give white, because it's a closed game, enough time to come in. But if this was more of an open game, trading off that knight would actually have been a bad move. But because it's closed, now it's okay to trade off, because the knight has enough time to get to a location as well. So this is a semi-closed game, so it was okay to do that trade. But the grandmasters, super grandmasters, know that if it was open, you have to play a dynamic type. What that means is you have to get your pieces moving quick. And semi-closed or sorry, semi-open, because semi-closed would be like this pawn, these pawns here being open. The semi-open is like this, I believe. I always had somewhat of a problem with telling which one was which, so I might have it in reverse, but you gotta bear with me. The idea though is dynamic versus static. This is a static position. Jeremy Silman also talks in his endgame book about a static endgame position. And the supers know their endgame like the back of their hand. And to see like what you're saying at 60, what was it, mate, in 63? I don't even know if they saw that, but you have to remember they would have had to play optimally, and they were down to like 10 minutes, so that would have been really difficult. So hope I didn't overwhelm you with all that information. I wanted to share what my teacher told me, and yeah, you're probably like, well, yeah. Yeah, chess is in a concept. Sometimes it's very like this, but when you get to this point, it branches out like that, and so it's like it feels like at time this is how chess is, narrow. But then when you get into these concepts to become grandmaster, like this is how you feel like, oh, I learned some. But then you realize that it's this big, and all this space in here is concept of learning. So all that, and that's what my teacher showed me on the board. Okay. Because I know at first, when I first learned that concept, it kind of was really overwhelming. We did one whole lesson just on tempos being lost, and he taught me that. Showed me a lot of Grandmaster games that had that in it. Actually, he showed me some of his games. I wish I would have saved them onto a thumbnail or thumb chip or whatever they call that, and then I could have showed you guys. H5. Okay, now we're getting we're having our friend Harry. I gotta tell you, Simon Williams would be happy with this. He'd be smiling, and so are we. We're like, go Harry up the board. Come on, be our hero. Up the board you go, my friend. And the other Harry's like, nope, I'm not gonna let you be the hero. I'm gonna block you. So knight to c8. Now they're gonna start maneuvering their knights in. E3, knight e7. Now, in theory, this should turn out to be a draw, because there's no real way of setting up any advantage. Now castles. This castles is a really interesting setup for Fabi. I don't know if I would have castled kingside. I'm not sure. I think the reason he wanted to castle kingside is he didn't want to have something like this just land in his face, because what are you gonna do? I guess you could lock down, maybe like that. but then in comes A, and now you're gonna start getting pummeled with these two pawns, and maybe you could stop there, but maybe a lockdown could happen. But I don't know. Still very drawish. And how is Fabi going to make a break on the king side? This is pretty solid of a pawn structure, and it's going to be hard for Magnus to make a break. So that's why I was thinking that it was pretty much a draw at this point. I didn't know potentially if they were going to. They can't agree to a draw here because there's like it's a 30 move before you can agree to a draw. But there is perpetual. So if you get into a what they call a grandmaster draw, and it's threefold, you could draw in theory on move set 11. Like if you start actually 10, if the move started at 7 and you went back 3 times, in theory you could draw it like moves 10. It's only if they both shake hands that can't be done till move 30. So castles. It's supposed to help with kind of making the games a little bit more exciting. And then takes. So now isolated pawn, 2 isolated pawns. It's like really, and this is the intensive part. I was looking at. I was like, whoa, hello, can this is pretty intense. A rook could be coming over, causing a little bit of chaos on the C file. It's like, woohoo, yay! You know, there's going to be some more action in the game, and yep, he did play that. And Magnus played actually the optimum move, which is bishop b3, and now he could actually play a2, bishop a3, bishop a2, and then start the push and lock down the queen side, and it maybe going towards a draw. I've actually seen that happen where they do this so that their bishop can actually be safe. It looks like a waste of a tempo, but white doesn't want black to potentially get a bishop to b5, because then you can actually reroute into b6 and cause some hectic on the d pawn. So he might play a3 to stop this infiltration, and this also is a nice little pocket if you just want to kind of move that doesn't really cause any weakness in your structure. A3 and bishop a2 doesn't cause really any too much damage. They're not really like powerful moves, but they're not bad moves. They're like null moves. So a3 would be a good move here because it would stop the knight from jumping in. At a3, if knight here, then bishop comes back. Now you see the power of a3. It keeps this bishop here, and now we're preparing for b5 or b4, not b5. Okay. Got a bug. These little no-seams are pain. They like end up right in your face when you're concentrating. One sec, gotta get a drink. Bishop d1. I don't know. I kind of see the advantage of that, but whew, I truly would have liked to have A and then had my bishop here. Would have locked down this pawn for a while. And you always have the ability then, after the rook moves to come to b1 and dominate that. That's really a nice file, or diagonal. Knight c4 and b3. Not bad. That actually is solid. That's a very solid move. a3. Most teachers would be like, knight on the rim is grim, knight on the rim is grim. But the idea is to get a knight either here or potentially there, these 2 points, and put some attack here. So knight b. And if this was played, bishop takes, and knight e3, and this, I really didn't like this move here. I thought it was a little bit, I understood why he played it, but I don't know if trading off the rooks was a good idea, because this now is a pretty much of a weakness, and surprisingly I feel like black in theory has more space, even though these pawns give white space. I don't know, it just black's position looks more playable and maybe desirable. I like it a little bit more. I like black more. He can't attack. He can't take this here, because I know you're thinking, what if he takes here? He loses that. I'd be tempted to play bishop here and see if I can't take the pawn here. I think what Magnus would play would be a4 here. And then how do we make any progress? We have a5. The bishop's cemented there forever. So the knight's kind of out of play. Very drawish position. Now he's trying to go after this pawn to provoke a weakness. F4. Now he wants to shunt the bishop out. This was kind of a very different move for sure. Now bishop b d1. He doesn't mind trading off. This is a bad bishop, and this is a knight that would be good, and so it should be drawn here as well. Okay, then the bishop takes and knight checks. So he's going to be gambiting. It looks like he gambits a pawn, but not really. Now he gets a pass center pawn. But Magnus has the pawn here and this push, so he has enough material to counter this pawn attack. And surprisingly, Magnus went at this point for a 2-pawn or a 3-pawn setup here. They were shocked that he actually went into this move, because they said that he played this setup on Nakamura before, and he won. So I think he thought that he was gonna steamroll these pawns down the board. But a piece is a piece, even though it's 3 pawns. And at this point, this is when everybody was like, "Yes, Fabi's winning here." Because in theory, when it'd be different if these pawns were here. I would probably say that sacrifice was more sound. But he's going to lose a pawn via knight to c3. He doesn't want, he could just move his king. This is actually, grandmasters do this. Fabi doesn't have to worry about the king's like gazillion miles away from this pawn. So he could take just one move and step out of the way. And how do these pawns actually, how does Magnus's pawns make any progress? Nothing really. And this pawn's gonna, one of these pawns are gonna fall. Magnus chose for the B pawn to be taken. And what happened here was Yazur was talking about that potentially bishop to a3 would have been a really strong move. And if the king comes in here, now you can actually now get your knight involved. And this pawn isn't going anywhere. This bishop controls this. And you can actually start maneuvering around and trying to gobble up these pawns here. Surprisingly, yeah, right here, here. This was when everybody was like, oh no. Because he got his pawn rolling. And then this was kind of very also controversial move here, f6. But in theory, if takes happened, the knight would be, the king would be able to come in. Let's say here and here. Now you can get your bishop, your knight involved, and start taking a poke at this pawn here. And you always have a barricade potentially with a bishop coming to d8, which then would guard this point and that point and that point at the same time. It guard these 2 points if the bishop got here. And then you can check and see maybe you can make some progress. So f6, king g4, knight a5, and then this move was really interesting. Bishop, I'm trying to remember, is this the move? Which bishop move was it that was supposedly a mate? And I'll have to, we'll have to get there. I'm trying to remember which move they said was a mate, and 36 or something like that. But bishop d3 was really different. It lost a point 3 in play. The idea is he has to give up this pawn because Magnus wants to now just survive here, and he's trying to go for the 50 rule move, so that on from here, if these pawns were all locked, we'll say this pawn, that somehow this pawn was gone, this was here, and white could just move back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. As long as both sides can't make any progress in 50 moves, it's considered a draw at that point. But if one pawn can move, then it's not a draw. It's considered playable, and the 50 move rule restarts at that point. G takes. That's why Magnus tried lock down this setup here. was so that Magnus's Fabi's pawn couldn't move, and therefore reset the 50 rule move. Now bishop d8. They were talking potentially that bishop c3 might have been an idea. I don't know. I'm thinking bishop c3 is not the best idea. Yeah, because Fabi actually would have lost point 2. I think it's still the same either way. Because I was while this was going on, I was watching on Chess24, and I was looking at their engine to see they give you 3 moves, and it's really odd. Some of the moves that they actually give you, the ones that you would think are actually the good ones, end up being the ones that take more advantage away from you. And I was like, huh. So you have to, yeah, you have to weigh the moves, even though the engine says that this is better than this one. Make sure positionally it is what you're wanting. Like this bishop d8 makes a lot of practical sense, because what you're doing is you're going to be moving a bishop potentially closer in towards the king and trying to push this king away from the h pawn. And if black could win the h pawn, he in theory is winning, because then no advantage, no pawn advantage for white. And white has for a piece 1 pawn. So king h8, knight f7, bishop c4, e. And the idea was trying to somehow get the bishop. Yaz was talking about bishop here, knight there, or bishop here, and potentially knight there, and then seeing if we can't gobble this pawn off the board. Now that there's really no threat of the king ever touching this pawn, because the knight guards here and the king guards these 2 points, so there's no reason for this bishop to stay here. The bishop is trying to make this pawn move because he wants the 50 move rule to reset. So the pawn kind of has to I believe there was like a this here, and then the king comes up. You got to be careful of, I'm not sure what move it was, but there was a move that would have lost the bishop with a fork. I think it's coming up pretty soon. Yeah, this was one of the ideas, to lock this move down and then come in here. Now king e7, king b. It should be a draw. There was a draw here. Agreed. There's no way to make progress. I want to see what the engine says is best. Just really quick. Oh, what, it's a draw? Let's see. Just really quick, I'm just gonna check to see what it says. I don't think there's a way to make. I don't think there's a way to make any progress. But it looked so winning. Where's that one move? I think it was Bishop. What move was it that Magnus played and it was mate, and the engine said it was mate in like 38 or mate 36 or something like that. I don't remember which move it was, but it was an interesting game for sure. Because it's like, it was weird. It was something to do with maybe bishop. Was it bishop c4? Not exactly sure which one it was. But yeah, I'll move 68. So it was c4 then. Oh, now I remember. It was something to do with this this move here, and if you attack, it was like if something was played here. And now, I think this is still a draw though. So it's bishop. Oh yeah, bishop h4. That's right. Bishop h4. Somebody had like a super engine, and we'll just make a move here, and we'll just say here, and then we'll just kind of move it back here. It was something to do. There's something to do with getting this here, because this does make sense, because oops, that would be a bad move. We'll just keep it there. This is how your knight and bishop actually want to be, and that's why kind of practicing knights and bishops are really cool. And this would have really caused a lot of problems here, because if he comes here, there's check, and then he has to come. That's right. He has to come here and then kerplunk. It was something like that, and they'd lose the pawn. He'd lose the h pawn, and basically the game at this point would be over. And he could do his hardest to save the position, but eventually this pawn's going to fall and a tempo will be lost, something like that. And that was really stunning. And then Maurice Yazzer and Jennifer Yazzer and Maurice were like scratching their head, going, I guess it does work, because they actually played it out, and I don't know what computers person had, but it was right. It was winning. But who in the world's gonna be able to see that? You know, I mean, that's pretty darn tootin' advanced. You'd have to have almost an engine brain, a brain as an engine to have seen that. That's like a 3,500 move analysis. But I'm sure Fabi and his team and Magnus and their team are going to look at it. And they had a on chess.com. They had the main thing, and I think it was Daniel King or something like that, or Dan showed them on the laptop that move, and Fabi and Magnus were both like staring at it in shock. It was a priceless picture on there on the thing. It was like, you mean I could have done that? And then of course Magnus is thinking, you mean Fabi could have done that? And it's like, oh, Fabi's probably like, I could have won, and then Magnus is like, who? I I I can't believe that was a mistake, but C4 was a mistake. Surprisingly, if you have a strong enough, yeah. I would have been happy too. I'd have been like, I'm so glad my opponent didn't see that. But it's so interesting that the setup that they get. I have to go over this. Let me see. Where did I go? Let's see. Bishop there, knight here. There we go. This setup right here is the perfect setup for the knight and bishop. I think Fabi had some. He doesn't get nervous, but you get excited like when you're gonna win, and sometimes I do. But my teacher told me you have to learn how to control that because the game's not over till it's checkmate. And so I'm like, hey, I could be winning a whole queen up, but if I make a mistake or a rook up and I stalemate my opponent, what a headache that would be. Okay, 1 sec. We'll do a non-rated puzzle, and if you guys got any games you want to go over, post them in and we'll go over them. Be right back. Let's see. Oh, right here. Oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense. But who'd have thunk though that that would actually you know, that's kind of hard to see. But I'm sure he might have actually calculated that. But you know, the human factor of nerves always plays a role in things. So, yeah, let's see here. Doo-doo-doo. How can we? Want to play here, but if he takes, then I try checking. Yeah, I agree with you on that. So here. I had to calculate to make sure that was the correct line. Here, and then there. Oops, I can't play there. You could just grab that. Right here and bishop there. trying to see if is there a win. I think it might maybe perpetual. If he keeps, yeah, okay. Wow. Okay. That was crazy. I thought there might be a win there. Okay. Oh, double fianchetto. Cool. Let's see. Night taste. Yeah. Let's see. Night here. Alrighty. We'll go over that. We'll go over that game. Yep. You got it, Fox. Nice. What double fiancetta? You gotta love it. So, Fox, how do you like the Magnus Fabi game? We can we'll go over this. Hold on, let me take a look to see what time it is. Okay. All right. We can go over this game. This will be good. Did you like the game? I thought it was pretty impressive. The opening was really interesting. The middle game, not so much, but the opening and then the end game, yes, that was great. Except for the miss in 68. Okay. Oh, thank you. The Lord's given me a gift, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So queen side, okay. Yeah, this was kind of a this was like a click thing that talked. It's clickbait, but it showed the line that Fabi missed. So well, it tells you it's so like whoa when anymore now. Engines have that capability. Hello, whoa. Knight, so b5. Huh, okay. I'm trying to see, this move provokes either b2. Because I don't know if knight d2 is a good move. I think that blocks the bishop. So the only move that makes sense is knight b2. f6 to cement the structure. Bishop. This is a really good move because you're preparing potentially to push to pry open the center. Oh, a5. Only problem with a5 though, Fox, is I believe this provokes. I don't really see any way that this just like gives black a solid advantage. F or c5. You can try to fight against it, but then comes a potential, and then takes, maybe there. But this actually would be good. Oh, a4. Well, that would not be a problem. All black would have to do is go b4. And I guess you could say that knight, that does produce a pocket for the knight to come in. But I don't know. I don't know if they can make any progress with this. I'm thinking this may potentially end up to be a draw. Something maybe like that. I don't know. It's really drawish. Like a, oops, sorry, a, and then takes, and then bishop, b2. Oh, sack at the right time? Potentially, yeah. I see what you're saying. But this is really good for white here. Now he's got this and that about to come to pass. This prepares to play f3. Huh. I know, attacks the bishop. That's actually better. F5 and kapow. You don't want that to happen because then white can lock down the king side and have a free hand on the queen side. I think potentially you can get a draw here if you want to. I don't know. Can he actually escape though? I think he could escape in that line. That's interesting. Yeah. That's kind of why they That's kind of why they sacrificed. And that's actually why you had to kind of play like this. And then now, because this knight's here, you have a perpet. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to get this perpet. This knight guards the d2 bishop, the d2 square. So if you were getting low on time and you get in this position, you got one. We're gonna be playing pretty soon. Pretty good setup here. Maybe king f2 and or maybe king here and there. I don't know, something like that. Should be interesting. Well, this is kind of pretty impressive that White's still holding on here. Nice castle by hand by White. Kind of love that. That's a sweet tactic. Can't take there because of that. Can't take here because if you take there, come pow. Now White's winning. Sometimes you'd want to guard behind. In this setup, you want to guard beside because you could pick this pawn off. I don't know. I would actually take here, surprisingly. But it'd be a little too risky. Yeah, can't stop that. Oh, a Lucinda. Let's see if we can win this. Let's just say, not that. We don't want to do that line. Let's say there. And then you can mate. It just goes back to a Lucinda setup. White should be winning here. I just wanted to make sure I did everything right. So yeah, we did that right. Okay. See, this move's not as good as this move. This move actually is best. Because see, you get a point, and at this point it's winning. There's no way to stop this from coming to pass. Actually, probably don't want to go that far. Probably want to go here. My bad, sorry guys. And then he's just gonna have to grab that. Then you win. Okay, we'll do one more, then I gotta log. Let's see, how's our time? Perfect. We have enough time for one more. Just wanted to, gotta keep accountable. Alrighty, put her in. You gotta love when you can set up for a Lucinda. I just gotta work on my proper Lucinda. Oh, from Black's point of view? Gotcha. Boy, wouldn't you like to have that super Norwegian computer to play Leela against, huh? Setup still good. Ooh, we're going for Alfred attack. Go Alfred. Go Alfred. Or Alekhine. Either one. Whoa. This is a pretty deadly attack, guys. And we have to remember, sometimes you have to sacrifice pawns to get open lines. And that's kind of a way that you have to think about chess sometimes. Now this is a cement. Bring the pieces over. Yeah, white's having to give back a lot of material for just to hold this setup. Yeah, the bishop's gonna have a problem. We don't want the rook. We want your bishop. Give us the bishop. And then rook kaboom there. Our knight f5 might be a good idea. Which one do I like the best? Let's see the difference in point count. So knight f5 gets 7. That gets 4. Okay. Because they're going to be taking the pawn and then threatening a check right there. Kind of get the idea now. So he has to take. Otherwise, if he just shuffles around, you're going to be threatening this, and if he plays that, you got that, and it's not going to be too fun. Even if he plays there, you have that. Maybe not that. Let me see. Probably that would be best in that line. And there's your mate. Kaboom! Yeah. There we go. Let's see. I think I got enough time to do a couple. Yeah, we'll do like 2 puzzles together. We'll do 2 puzzles. I enough time for that. Great games. Those are stellar games. You have to take your time though and go over them and get an understanding why the engine plays those moves. Otherwise, what happens is you become an android to what the engine wants, and you don't have any understanding. It's all based on understanding. That's the highest form of learning is understanding. Or, as Bruce Lee said, applying is really high as well. Applying what you know. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, it's white to move. I'm gonna say it's a rover. Rook up and over. But we can't because he has a check here. Drat. That's not fun. No. Let me see. I'd love to take the bishop, but we can't take that bishop. Ooh. Potentially, would it be a rover? Would rook b1 be? I think it's rook b3. Yeah. There we go. Yep. Well, let's see. How are we doing? Oh, nice. One more. We got enough. Yeah. Happy. Hooray. I like doing puzzles. Let's see. Okay. You guys got any questions? Because if he, I'll show you. See, the idea that I was talking about here is I can't push this one because he'll come up here. So first of all, you push here, he comes up, and what you're doing once you go rook a d8, a7 to a8 is you're threatening mate. So he has to move here to stop the mate. He could play here, but if he does that, then he's gonna drop a rook anyways. So, and when he plays rook over here, g5. If rook takes here, one of these rooks are gonna this rook's gonna have to check. And then he's got mate there, or he's got mate here. And then now you got these attacks coming. If he comes over here, rook e8, and now you're attacking there. So it's all over. Do you guys got any questions about this right here? You guys got any questions about this? I'll give you guys a minute to respond if you have any questions on this puzzle. You're okay? Do you have any puzzles? I mean puzzle questions. I had the puzzles on the brain there. That's funny. I'll give you 1 more minute if you need anything. Just any questions? Any questions? Can we see rook takes? Let me see. See the line. Oh, g5. Gotcha. Okay, g. Okay, gotcha. Oh, you want to check g5 out right now? You want g5 first? Okay. Oops, sorry. So you want to do g5 first. Rook takes. He's gonna play rook takes. King g3. Rook c2 is best here. F4. E7. And he could take. So the only way to, after this, to kind of hold anything is if then e5 is played. And I don't think there's really any way we can make any more progress. Okay, let's see here. So g5, just want to make sure I'm doing everything right. g3, oh, rook a2, okay. f4, and e5. And it's a draw. Wow, nice. You spotted a draw. Sweet. Especially in that sitch. And e6 gives you a spot to flee to. Did I answer your question? Do you have any other questions? give you one more minute if you have any other move questions on this from here. And then I'm going to log at that point. Okay, I'll take that as a nope. Okay, guys, I wanted to thank you for logging on. Interesting game between Magnus and Fabi for sure. But like what we talked about, we have to do like what Bruce Lee says. We have to know and then apply, and then be willing and do it. Remember, there are no limits, because the limits are only what we set out. There are plateaus though, and I know we're at the stage where we can go beyond the plateaus, and we have to keep pushing forward. And you know what, look back only to learn, and keep moving forward, like on Meet the Robinsons. And my teacher told me to treasure these moments here, because he says that he remembers when he was first starting out, and he saved his games, and it kind of reminds me of that Care Bear song, the growing up is something you could treasure. Same thing with chess. Treasure the moments when you are learning and growing, because then you'll be able to look back and say, you know what, I know what it's like when you talk to somebody who is at a lower level than where you are. You can say, I know what it's like, I remember, and then you can share the love of chess knowledge with them. That's the greatest gift that a chess player could actually do to the chess community, is when they improve, they can go back and teach and tell them, the next generation, how to get better. And that's a legacy right there. It's not about things and stuff like that, because those things will fade away. It's about what you leave behind, and like that's what Reinfeld and some of the other book writers left behind. They're not here now, but their knowledge and their books are for the next generation and the generation to come even after them. That is left for them. So I think that's the greatest gift, is to leave knowledge for the next generation. And that's what those games that we're going over with Magnus and Fabi is leaving a legacy for the next generation to learn from. And you know what, I hope you guys also leave that too, because that's what it's all about. It's about serving the Lord, and leaving behind something. Because when it's all said and done, what have you left behind? My teacher was talking to me, and I talked to him about that, and he says, I never thought about that. And so he left the knowledge in me that I'm able to share with you guys. So his legacy still continues onward. So that's the coolest thing, to leave it with somebody that they can continue the lessons that you taught them. That's such a sweet gift. Such a sweet gift. And I guess we have to be like what they say, as a sword. We have to keep our mind sharp and straight to the point. We have to be able to know how to handle that, because you have to keep your mind sharp. You have to know how to move the pieces correctly on the board, And 5 minute, 3 minute, and 1 minute games don't teach you enough to merit the playing of them. Like what we talked about yesterday was what Andrew Martin, International Master Andrew Martin, said was that when you mature in your next plateau, he says that you'll switch 90% from playing to 90% study, 10% playing. He also said that you want to play longer games. Simon Williams said that. I even overheard somebody that was teaching a student. They even said to their student to stop playing games, 1, 3, and 5 minute games. And so and I took that to heart, and so that's why we're studying more than we're playing. And you know what? You have to dig a mine to get those diamonds out or the coal out that you can sell and make a lot of money off of. Is you have to dig, and that takes work. It's not easy. Okay, I just want to leave you guys with that knowledge. Also, please keep the families of the in California that lost their loved ones, and also the ones that lost their house as well, houses, that they're comforted, and please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. I appreciate that. And I'll leave you guys with that. Remember what we do? We hang up our coat, we hang up our hat, we sit down and study when most won't. We do, and that makes all the difference. As Wesley So says, through the Lord Jesus, as I say, God bless, and I'll see you guys next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, and Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll go over a Scotch game opening, because there's no Magnus Fabi games. It's a rest day tomorrow. But the next day, we will bring those, and we will analyze those and have a good time as well. And I wanted to thank you, Fox, for the games that you presented. Those were spot on, excellent. Okay, stay cool, guys. Keep pushing forward. Remember, learn from your mistakes. Keep moving forward. It's only a loss when you don't learn from it. 2 thumbs up. Great job. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Hoorah. Be blessed, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.